Hello everyone. I will present my ideas about what I would do if I was advisor to president. My first advice to president is that government officials, especially president, should be in contact with citizens personally to understand economic situation better. Uh, as example, I want to share that in the past kings would wear civil clothes and ask problems of citizens, and and they would try to better understand country's economic situation. In this presentation, I want to talk about unemployment, standard of living, and education. Back in days, countries tend to produce only the essentials for survival. Most part of the economies were set to produce things like food, clothing, and houses. But nowadays, only small parts of economics are used to produce the so-called essentials. The growth has been so fast that some economics are almost reaching a stall, reaching the maximum on the one hand. If we look at specific examples of natural resources, freshwater, ocean fisheries, atmosphere, and ecosystem, and there is strong evidence that the rates at which we are currently utilizing them are unsustainable. But a major factor can prevent this to happen, but it doesn't mean it's a good thing. This factor is ecological damages caused growth. Global warming is the one of the concerns that in sooner rather than later will affect on our everyday life and on how we should be monitoring growth. And let's talk about unemployment. Economic growth is believed by people to be a good thing because of the jobs it creates and how it helps increase per capita gross domestic product and consumption of society. But studies in the United States showed taking gross national product, environmental costs, extra spending on healthcare, education, community, and urbanization needed to support growth, concluded that economic well-being in U.S. increased sustainability during 50s and 60s, but leveled off at the end of the 70s and has been in decline since 80s. For every 1% by which the actual unemployment rate exceeds the normal unemployment rate, real gross domestic product is reduced by 2-3%. It outlines the negative relationship between the GDP growth and unemployment. Growth doesn't always bring along what people usually expect: more work. The ideal growth to stop unemployment from rising is a 3% annual growth. So growth as well can be considered counterproductive in terms of employment for an economy. If it's not properly managed, unemployment rate won't just stop because the economy created more jobs and making more money. And the economy should have an ideal annual growth of 3% to maintain efficiency. And let's talk about standard of living. The more you earn in terms of wage, the more you tend to buy. Wages are higher, so consumption tends to be higher as well. Going from essentials, population tend to buy luxuries than they think they deserve for all the effort they put in at work. This is when the economy becomes more productive, when they are enjoying prosperity. And a major change of living standards in technology. The better technology, the more growth a country can experience. Technology is directly related to economic growth. To produce smaller time span, also when a country growing, it tends to use more and more advanced material than it previously used to because of greater productivity. They will help them achieve to maintain the growth. Technology hence improves labor production. That is how the inverse relation between growth and unemployment rate is created. When economy is growing, unemployment tends to rise as well because now the economy needs fewer workers to perform same job. As far as health is concerned, fast foods and restaurants have become a common everyday routine for people. Cooking at home could be cheaper, but why going cheaper when you can afford quicker and simpler, and when you can't find the time to cook? These two are the fast foods and restaurants, but mainly fast foods. consumption have somewhat causes a fallen health level of society. Not only food patterns cause this change in health condition, but when we add to that the high consumption of cigarettes and the fact that besides work, eat, sleep, people don't have much time of their own, or just don't want to find time to do exercise, societies become less active physically and more obese. And for what matter, people seem to think that spending more on healthcare would help them live longer and better. But now more and more people are realizing that exercise and healthy diet are keys to a better life. And education plays an important role on the road to economic growth of an economy. It could vary from education of employees to new technologies to education of the children, the future generation. Literacy is important nowadays anywhere because it helps communicate it easily and if needs be in different languages. And the sooner children learn, the easier makes it for them to undertake subsequent learning. The education of population is vital for an economy to be prosperous, so providing children with the tools to build a better tomorrow is the key for further successes. But that's the good part of growth. It helps us educate our population, but economic growth can also be viewed as detrimental to education when it comes to children. Another side effect of growth on education is that now children at school want more than just learning. They want to be entertained to learn. They want teachers to get them hooked on subject, not just teach them. They don't want to make that extra effort to learn how to solve a difficulty on their own. They think it's like television or internet. Everything is laid in front of them, and they just must sit back and watch. It's my conclusion. Counterproductivity is a problem that will sooner or later hit every economy. To reduce the impacts it can have, some measures need to be taken. Sustainability of the development, which is always bearing in mind that every action can cause a reaction, and efficient use of resources would be beneficial for future generations. We don't have the right to be individualistic. We don't have the time to be right to be individualistic. Before, people didn't really realize that they could run out of resources at some point. They know it would be here indefinitely, and we have reached a point now where everything is becoming scarce. Now we know that our actions will have some effects on future generations. We have this knowledge and need to make the most of it. Protection of the environment, we live in protection of our people and sustainability of our development. Thank you, everyone.